Hi, this is Neil. Welcome to Lesson 10 of VASSL 101. In the previous lesson, we put the basic scenario tracking information on the board to get you going on playing your first scenario. So we did the turn track with the turn markers, this version. We put the reinforcement information on the track, the phase marker, and the compass marker pointing in the appropriate direction for this scenario, which would be the eastern gate. Um, Afterwards, after the last video, I added the end marker, which I forgot to do, to indicate the end of the scenario on the turn tracker. So if you haven't opened up the Eastern Gate scenario and you've been following along, go ahead and do that now and pause while you do it. If you don't have it and you're just jumping in here, um, open up VASSL and just throw any board or combination board of boards on the map setup and jump in, because I'm going to show you how to build your order of battle today, specifically for the Eastern Gate scenario that's shown below, the order of battle shown below. So what we have again here is Japanese versus Indian Gurkha, which are represented by the British counter set. Let's start with the Japanese. But even before I go there, I want to show you one thing that was added in the last build of the VASSL module. And that's the counter search, which I find it semi helpful. It has a search feature, but the search feature, you have to type in the exact name of what you're looking for. So if I'm looking for example, if I'm looking for horses, because there are horses in this scenario. Let's just look for those. Type in horse, hit search, and it found them. It would be under Axis Order of Battle, German, support weapon, white. I happen to match that. I don't know where the horses are listed on this list here. Oh, here it is, horse. I happen to type in the exact right counter name. Now, if you wanted to find all the counters that have the term fire in them, for example, all the prep fire, advancing fire, intensive fire, whatever. And if you type fire in, like you would expect a typical search engine to work, if you type fire and hit search, it finds nothing. So the way it's currently built, the counter search, it doesn't have the ability to search on partial terms for anything, which I think would be way more handy than the version that is in here now, which is okay. But being able to search on a partial term would be a lot more helpful to the user than being able to find search on the exact term for a counter. For example, they call the acquired counter. They don't call it acquire. They call it ACQ. Now, if you didn't know they called it ACQ, you wouldn't know to search for ACQ. You'd probably type in uh, acquire or acquired and hit search, and you get nothing. You don't know where it is. So then you have to start scrolling through the list to see what actual term they use to call the counter, so you can search on that exact term. But if you scroll down to find the term you're looking for, it tells you the location, and you don't have to do a search anyway. So I hope and wish that they update this search engine to work with keywords, not just the exact term for the counter. So fiddle around with the counter search that they added. It may be useful to some. I don't find it super useful myself in its current instantiation, but play around with that. But for this example, we're just going to pull nationality counters, and it's going to be fairly straightforward. So let's start with the Japanese. So just hit the counter window here, the 447, or is that 467? My monitor is really dim. It's a 467. Hit that, and it'll bring up the counter windows. And we're going straight to Axis Order of Battle, and then there'll be a drop down for the nationality you want. We're looking for Japanese, obviously, and let's just build it in the order that's shown on the scenario sheet. So we want we're starting with multi-man counters, single-man counters, support weapons, and then usually after that it's vehicles and or guns. So we're looking for multi-man counter. Um, so they have squads, half squads, single-man counters, support weapons, guns, vehicles, air support, or air type counters. So we're looking for a squads. We're looking for 448 with a 2 exponent. Make sure you don't just look at the strength factors when you're pulling a multi-man counter of any kind, even half squads. Make sure you look at the smoke exponent because here there's an assault engineer with a 4 smoke exponent and there's a 448 regular elite with a 2 exponent, which is what we want. Let's just pull that. You just pull it straight on to the play surface. Now we need 3 of those. You can either pull 3 out or you can just right click on the one you just pulled out and hit clone or control K and it'll clone it. And there we've got 3. Okay. And we need 8 447s with a 1 exponent. There's only one of those. So pull one of those out and let's clone. So we got 2. Pick those 2. Clone those 2. We got 4. Pick those 4. Clone those 4. And just like that, we have 8 447s. 347 second line. We need 12 of those. So 1, 2, 4, 8. And then you can pick the top 4 and just clone those. There you go. You've got 12. Excuse me. And for crew, okay. Going through the rest of this, I'm just going to pull 1 of each going forwards. So instead of pulling all the multi-man counters for the British Gurkha, I'm just going to pull 1. And I'm just going to pull 1 of the leaders and 1 of the support weapons to speed this up. So let's go to the Japanese leaders, a single man counter. Next in the pick would be half squads, if you need half squads. Here's single man counters. We need a 10 minus 1 to start. And under single man counters, obviously heroes and whatnot would be there as well. So we need a 10 minus 1, 9 minus 1, etc. So that's where you pull your leaders. Support weapons would be next. We've got bunch of light machine guns and some dismantled machine guns and mortars. So here's a light machine gun. Again, make sure you check the strength factors on your support weapons at 2. Some support weapons as well. Sometimes there's different versions of machine guns. So you can pull some light machine guns, dismantled medium machine gun, dismantled mortar, 50 millimeter. DM that, medium machine gun, medium, DM that. So you can just flip it and you can DM it. And then an infantry gun. So go to guns. Let's go back to support weapons real quick. There's 2 tabs. There's machine guns, infantry guns, and mortars, and then there's light anti-tank weapons, field phones, radios, demo charges, flamethrowers, that kind of thing. And then there's white counters here. I actually stumbled. Let's do the horses since I stumbled across it. So we need some horses. We need 2 of those. Pull it out, clone it. Then we need the 70 millimeter infantry guns. So let's go to guns. 70 millimeter. So mortars, anti-tank infantry, artillery, anti-aircraft. So it's a infantry gun. 70 star. Yep, that's the one right there. We need 2 of those. Pull it out, clone it. So there you go. I didn't pull every unit out, but I basically showed you where the multi-man counters are. Single man, support weapons, infantry gun, and the horses are. Now to continue on this top row of tabs. So here's where all the vehicles are for the Japanese. The Japanese don't have a lot of armor. Most of them are light tanks, as I like to call them, and a lot of people like to call them tin cans. So uh, here's all the Japanese armor and vehicles, all vehicles in general. So they could be armor, trucks, armored cars, that kind of thing. And then here's parachutes, gliders, etc., fighter bombers. So that's the Japanese. Let's go to the British, well, the Indian Gurkha. I've called them British Gurkha in previous lessons, but they use British counters essentially. So let's click up here on the top tab and go to Allied Order of Battle. Go to British. Oh yeah, here's where your concealment counters on the first tab, some acquired counters, and your snipers and artillery, offboard artillery counters would be for that particular nationality. So let's go to squads. We need some 648s with a 2 exponent, not the assault engineer version, but the standard elite version. Need 5 of those. Clone, clone, clone. One thing you might notice when I'm right clicking on counters, there's a lot of options. You'll just learn these over time, and there are a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and I have to admit, I have not learned very many of them. Just remember you can right click on nearly everything and do things to it, like convert it to a half squad or squad back and forth, pin, mark them with fire, or you can pull counters down from the counter bar up here, break them, apply heat of battle, different types of heat of battle, hide them, etc. So just remember, right click is your friend if you haven't remembered many of the keyboard shortcuts. Um, so you know how to pull. You can figure out how to pull the other British multi-man counters for the Eastern Gate scenario from here. Single man counters. Here's the leaders. So let's just pull a 9-2 out. 9-1, 9-8-1, and an 8-0. Boom! Just like that, we pulled out the 4 leaders that the Indian Gurkhas need, and then oh, here's a different types of British single man counters as well. Remember, there's always usually a row of tabs under the main row of tabs. There's lots of options for the way they've organized these to find things. And support weapons, same as the Japanese, needs a couple light machine guns or 5 light machine guns. Here you can see there's 2 versions of the light machine gun, so make sure you grab the right one. We need the 2.7 version. We need 5, but I'm just going to pull one, and then dismantled heavy. Let's see, heavy. Which one would it be? 3 portage points. Hmm. Let's just pull one out. Let's just pull. Can't see that. Let me zoom in on that. My old eyes can't read that. Oh, it's not an A. Let's see. That's not the right one. Must be the standard one. Must be this one that the scenario's counting for. No, it's not 50 caliber. Uh, heavy. This has to be it. No, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I bet you that one's it. Let's see what this one is. 3. From the scenario sheet, I can't tell which. This it says in the special scenario rules which heavy machine gun it is, because it's in its dismantled state on the scenario card, and all it shows is 3 portage points. So yeah, it has two different ranges on the. Yeah, I'm not sure which heavy machine gun it actually is in this scenario, but here's where all the British support weapons are, analogous to the Japanese one. All the nationalities basically have the same type of layout. Um, and that's basically it. You can pull all your um, nationality orders of battle from the. I just collapsed it from the counter window. Um, dump them on the board. Um, Clearly, this scenario I have set up hasn't been blinged out with a lot of the cool setup options. It's got the basics, but it's the same sort of way you would do it if you were playing a scenario on your your kitchen table or whatnot. You would just lay the counters out and then start placing them on the board depending on who sets up first and who moves first. But you're almost ready to start playing now. I've guided you through installation all the way through setup to pulling counters, and the very last lesson I'm going to do next, lesson 11, which is actually the 12th video. I put in a lesson 5A earlier, will be how to connect to the server. And when you're able to connect to the server, then you're able to have a friend join you, or you join their game, and you'll be able to play with somebody online. Up to this point, up through this lesson, you're ready to start playing a solitaire or solo game on your own without connecting to the server, and you're ready to go. You've got all your units, you got your map, you know how to pull the counters out of the menu system, you know how to do line of sight checks, you know how to set up dice rolling, etc. So that's the end of lesson 10. Lesson 11 is going to be connecting to the server, and I'll do that next time. Until then, roll low.